How about a transistor radio repair video? It's been a while. We're looking for an Aiwa here. These were sent in. That does not look like an Aiwa. Anyway, we're looking for an Aiwa to repair, and we have a new soldering station, intelligent soldering station. Doesn't everybody want their soldering station to be intelligent? I don't know. They sent this in. I've reviewed their scopes before. They're little handheld scopes, and I do use them, so I like them. So we're going to review this. They sent this in for review, which is good because my trusty Weller that I've had since I was in high school, the Element, recently went open. Which that thing lasted a long time. So let me get into these. Zenith Royal 500. We'll have to get into this. These have usually a bunch of electrolytics under the battery tray that go open. Okay, here's a smaller Zenith. It's just like a 50. These are cool. But it was requested that I do the Aiwa first. Next box. Aiwa. Wow, that's an old one. AM FM, there it is. Let's see what else we got hiding in here. A lot of air. Let's see what we got here. ITC, International Transistor Corporation. I've worked on these before. Wow, this is a big one. These, I've seen this radio under different brands. Honkoidial. What's good is we might have a schematic in here for your listening pleasure. No schematic. Doesn't get us very far, does it? Probably a lot of open capacitors, open electrolytics. Oh, there we go. Maybe not. I will say that the Iraqi built radios were a step above this. I do like those. Those are definitely unique. Alright, the Aiwa. Let's take a look at the soldering iron real quick, actually. DWS-200. Host power wiring. After power cord is connected, you will need to disconnect the power. You can do so by toggling the power switch. Wow! That's deep, man. Cutting edge. A power switch? Okay. Now this is supposed to come with a whole bunch of different tips, which I hope they have something in here. Okay, here's the iron, the handle, which that's kind of cool. Okay, here's all the tips. Kind of a chisel tip. Almost feel like I'm opening a piece of medical test equipment. There's another. That one might be good for tube equipment right there. That one looks pretty beefy. Damn, how many tips does this thing come with? That one right there looks pretty beefy. I mean, I don't do a lot of surface mount stuff. I do some. I do some solid state, like this radio. This is going to be good for this radio, but you know, mostly work on tube point-to-point stuff. I think we'll find a tip in here for that. Okay, here's looking inside the Aiwa. Looks like a 6-volt radio, fair size audio output transformer. If that's what that is, that might be interstage. If it's direct drive, I guess that's probably the FM little daughter board there. Looks like one electrolytic that might have been replaced. What's going on with these transistors? Did someone replace those and just cut the old ones off the top of the board? See that? Okay, let's power this thing up and get into it. Get this thing working. This might be interesting with the nice long lead length on the IF transistors. Look at the ball of solder there. That's impressive. Since we're jumping around, maybe I'll add this in. I found this seed sprouting in the sink, and I figured if this damn thing wants to be alive that bad, let's give it a shot. I have no idea what it is. So I planted it and it just started going, man, and it's just born and it wants to go. So maybe we'll keep an eye on this in upcoming videos. See what it is. I'll grow it. Maybe it'll produce something edible. That would be the thought anyway. Okay, Aiwa AM FM transistor radio. Wasn't Aiwa a premium brand of Sony? Or am I thinking of something else or later years? I always thought that, you know, Aiwa was the premium brand of Sony. I don't know. Maybe I got that wrong. We got 6 volts here, lithium iron phosphate through a grain of wheat lamp to current limit in case something's shorted. We got a, what is that, 30 milliamp meter. Let's see what happens here. It's interesting, when I turn the volume control, there's movement in the meter, but there's no sound. Wow, that's on AM too. That many, 25 milliamps on AM? Maybe, I don't know, for a 6-volt radio. Okay, that's FM. Nothing. I do hear a little pop. Here, listen. Okay, I hear a little pop through the speaker. Nothing. Let's get the spectrum analyzer and see if the oscillators are running. It sounds almost like the audio amp is dead. I mean, this obviously someone's been in here. Most of the screws are missing. And we have these cut-off transistors. Actually, we should be able to use this and listen to 10.7, right? 10. Okay, there's 10.7. I think I'm on FM. I'm on AM. Let's go to wide FM. Okay. Now we'll put this on FM. It is on FM. Now we should hear this, I would think. We don't hear nothing. Okay, stand by. Okay, I'm on 455 kilohertz AM now. I'm not hearing anything either. This is going to be a tough one. Get ready, get your popcorn. This is going to be a long video. Now we're sweeping from 80 to 120 megahertz. We have the radio on FM. I just got the wire laying there, and it looks like we are picking up the local oscillator. You can see it there running at 106. I'll adjust the tuning on here. So the oscillator is running in the radio. I adjusted this to go from 400 kilohertz to 2 megahertz. I'm looking for the AM oscillator. I have the radio on AM and I see nothing here. Oh wait, maybe I do see it right there. Is that weak? Doesn't appear to be anything getting through the IF though. All of those fancy toys, it's always probably best just to fall back on your signal tracer. You know, for transistor radios, a signal tracer is probably about the best, one of the best pieces of equipment you could get. Pretty much for any kind of radio. And just to note, a lot of people have donated and sent transistor radios in to the channel. This is donations to see them repaired or whatever. I'll get to those later in the year when it cools off. I like to take these things out to the desert, play with them, combine it with a desert video, but it's just too hot out there. I don't know how these things would survive in 120 degree weather anyway. So let's see what we can find here. Just kind of put this in the middle of the band and we'll start. The AM detector right here. Nothing. We are on AM, right? We are on AM. We are drawing 25 milliamps, which seems high to me, but what do I know? So let's start here. We have 4 leads. One of them's connected to the can here, just as a shield. We got nothing. Nothing. But yet the oscillator is running. Let's give this a little spray. This is the band selector switch. Well, that's like drowning it, actually. This looks like this is the FM detector. AM detector. This is the FM output. So this would be IF number 2. So we have 2 IFs here. I wonder if this is an oscillator. Wish I had a schematic on this. This is not real conventional because it's got this board. I need 2 hands to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to probe it, and I'm going to rock this between 9 and 13 because if I hit K and X, I might, it might be strong enough to where I could pick it up if one of these transistors was dead. And I am actually getting something here with the volume wide open there if I turn the tuning.
Adventure like Wolverine's very nasty put down of his new partner.
You're a joke.
There's KNX.
Didn't take you. All the X-Men. I mean, you are ridiculous. Sure, half.
All right, Deadpool and Wolverine is set to $4 hit the ground. R-rated movie last weekend. Then it's Twisters that's staying at a distant second place, followed by the new thriller Despicable Me 4 and Inside Out. Get ready to celebrate. This is National Chocolate Chip Day.
C is for cookie. That's good enough for me.
It's yet another made-up foodie holiday that...
That's interesting. Well, there doesn't seem to be much gain across either one of those transistors. I mean, the base should be pretty quiet and the collector should be substantially louder. This one, there's nothing. This one... I'll find it.
Demographic shift. As experts say, business has rebounded thanks in large part cruise line. The average age of passengers has been falling for 2 straight years. That was when a Virgin started running, featuring dozens of younger cruisers.
Are these things even installed right? The case is supposed to be connected to this. It's supposed to be grounded. This is by the same company that makes the soldering iron, which we'll get into later. This was done in a previous video. Let's check some of these voltages and see if they make any sense. Yeah, why do we have negative 4 volts on the can? Negative 5 volts here. This is PNP germanium, so it's going to be like that. So it's already not making sense. We got negative 4 volts there. We got 0 volts here. Negative 4.4 there. Negative 4.4 there. Negative 4.5 there. And negative 5.6 there. What kind of crack smoke? It's a good thing they used an audio grade capacitor in this thing. I wouldn't want anything less. So is that 2015? No wonder why they didn't want to try and desolder these things from the bottom. Well, time to get a magnifying glass and just try and figure this out. Looks like the signal is going this way, from right to left. Like I said, this is the AM detector, this is the FM detector. So this is where the signal comes in. It's amplified through here, going this way. This is where it's detected, and from coming out of here, it's audio into the audio amp. So these should feed into the base. This should connect to the collector or the emitter. I don't know. PNP germanium always gets my brain all twisted up. So these are stacked IF. So here's 1 and 2. So this should be the base. This should be the can, the ground to the can. This should be the emitter. And this over here should be the collector because it's connecting. Let me figure out how to mark this, and then we'll take it out and see if it's connected wrong. First thing I'm going to do is mark this. That way we can check the indexing. So 2SA is facing these. Okay, let's dig into this DWS-200 because, you know, C is for cookie, and that's good enough for me. Cookie, cookie, cookie causes heart disease. Oh, that looks sensual. Okay, well, this thing comes with all kinds of helping hands and static probes for doing MOS, CMOS stuff, and it looks like it comes with 2 different soldering iron handles. Is that what those are? So this is way, way overkill for what we're going to do here. And I'm kind of buried in the radio, so let me try and pick one of these tips that I think will work well with solder wick. Okay, well, the 2 handles are different. And this is one that takes the smaller size tip, and the tips just push in. You know, for something like this, I don't really want a huge tip because these traces on this thing is fragile enough as it is. So we'll try this. I picked this little chisel tip. Oh boy, soldering iron that has different languages. Stand by. .300 centigrade? Is it hot that quick? Okay, I need to learn how to use this. Go up a little bit hotter here. It's hot. I just maybe think this tip is too small for this work. Oh, by the way, I always take pictures of think I need the bigger tip. Maybe I just need to get this wet. The reason why I like this tip is because these wires are bent over, and you can get underneath here and use this to pry these up. That worked. Okay, let me get it out. Well, this is interesting. They have the emitter and the case connected together. It looks like they don't have a separate ground for the case. Actually, it did an okay job once I got the tip a little bit wet. And it heats up so damn quick. That's cool. I mean, it wasn't that hard to get it off the bottom. I did it with a brand new iron I'm not familiar with, using the wrong tip and trying to hold a camera in my mouth to where I couldn't even see it, so you could. There it is. It is a transistor. It is a PNP germanium transistor. It seems okay. Checking the emitter resistor, it looks like it's 1.3K. It looks like here it should be 560 ohms, right? Green, blue, brown. Actually, I was reading between the wrong two traces. It's measuring 579 ohms. I'm measuring the voltage here with the transistor out. I got the radio powered up, and I'm measuring between collector and emitter, and I got 1.2 volts. It's way too low. Should be probably closer to 5, 6 with no load. We maybe have something shorted. That's why the current draw is so high. I hooked the leads up that I disconnected just to verify, and yeah, it's still 1 volt. You know, one thing I will say that's great about this soldering iron for this type of work is that it gets hot so quick. I mean, watch how fast this gets hot. That's it, it's there. So these are the two supply rails that have 1.2 volts, and I mean, I guess that capacitor could be shorted. I think it would be warm by now. This right here looks like the main resistor that supplies it, that 220 ohm red, brown. That comes from the main 6 volts here and jumps over to this point right here. You know, without a schematic, you just got to start following it. Okay, the issue we're having here is that there's something loading down the secondary battery voltage supply that supplies the IF transistors. And I removed this capacitor, and that's not it. And this goes back to my initial suspicion, which is that is kind of high. And I probably shouldn't have ignored that. So the way it works is the battery comes in through the switch, and it's connected to the audio amp portion. The audio amp portion gets direct power from the battery. Then there's a resistor, which in this case it's a 220 ohm, that supplies a secondary voltage to the IF and front end. And one of the reasons for that is the resistor and the capacitor act together as a filter to keep any audio out of the IF. That's one reason for it. So I desoldered one side of that 220, actually it's over here, that 220 ohm resistor, and watch when I pop it loose. So what I've been doing is I've been following that line, and again, I don't have a schematic, so I gotta I got to just figure it out as I go along. Let me see if I can bring you along with me here. I want to bring you along with me. It's one of the favorite sayings. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to bring you along with me. Don't forget to donate. Click that like button. Click that share button. Click the tip jar. See what else? Donate to me. Sign up for my Patreon. You'll get special perks. Actually, I don't do that. Equality for all. I do appreciate the donations, though. I don't want to be sarcastic with that. They go towards funding this stuff and saving old things at estate sales, and it gets reinvested back into the channel. Anyway, enough of that e-begging crap and false promises. Okay, so here's the resistor. Here's the 220 ohm resistor. So what I've been doing is I've been using a flashlight, and I'm following this line. Well, we have, these are 4.7 Ks here, so that's not going to load it down that hard. Then we come over here and it's connected to the AM detector diode. Well, if that was shorted, that could possibly cause problems. And then we just keep following it, and it's hard for me to do it here, but so it goes to the detector diode. You can see it there. Then it comes over here and it goes to this resistor. Well, that resistor feeds a transistor I removed. Then it comes over here to this resistor, which is a 1K, so that's not going to load it down that high. Then it comes over here to another 1K. That's not going to load it down. So anyway, there's a couple ways to start diagnosing this. Start removing every component connected to that, or start cutting the trace and working your way back. But I'm looking at that detector diode. I think I'm going to lift one side of that out of there. I lifted one side of the detector diode out. Oh, that's comforting. Let's get in closer to that. Oh yeah, rock my world. Wow, it's going up. It's almost out of my hearing range now. Did I kill it? So is that a function of... I think it's a shorted detector diode. This was just because I have the capacitor out, but should we listen to that some more? Okay, let's put the capacitor back in. Enough of that. Lifting the detector diode brought us down to a more reasonable, what, about 14 milliamps. Let's see what our voltage is now from collector to emitter. Okay, checking the voltage from collector to emitter now. With the detector diode removed, we have 4.7 volts. So, who would have thought a shorted AM detector diode would kill the whole radio? Who designed this thing? I'm going to put this back in. Should I clean that up and put that all the way in? I think maybe I will. Capacitors back in, transistors back in. I think I hooked all of this stuff back up where it was, I think. Let's see what happens here. Well, we definitely got a more respectable current draw now. Oh, KNX FM, as if you couldn't get enough of the Soros radio network. But this fell off. I don't even know why that was on there. Alright, now we got low volume. The antenna did fall off. Let me get that hooked back up. Crap, we're listening to AM without the detector diode in it. FM's still totally quiet. No, it's not totally quiet. Okay, I had to connect the antenna back up.
Save all your favorites with the unlimited DVR, so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere for up to a year. Buy them now includes access to...
There's something more to this life than I've been living already. And I want to know more about this bread of life.
I wonder how much someone's turned these screws and screwed it up. Let's try one of these for the AM detector. This is a Schottky RF diode. So interesting, I put that RF Schottky in there and I'm back to the same crap, and I'm sure I put it in there the right way and I'm back to the same thing. Unless, do we have a solder bridge somewhere? Is this a solder bridge? I don't think so. What is causing this? I don't quite understand what's going on here. All these, except the wires, are breaking off everywhere. All of these pins are shorted together on this IF transformer. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then these are the grounds. And they're all shorted together, which would make sense. I don't know about that. That's weird. What I did is I lifted this one pin right there with the solder sucker, and the solder wick, and I'm still getting 2 ohms through these disc capacitors. See that? I'm still getting 2.7 ohms, and I think those are disc capacitors. So the secondary coil of the AM goes between here and here. So if this was shorted back to here, it would be a clear loop through the diode. Those are disc capacitors. They're right there. Well, I think we might actually have a first here. A shorted disc capacitor causing all these problems, because this disc capacitor isolates the back side of this diode on the other side of the coil from making a DC loop. Wow. Okay, now my current draw is too low. I replaced that capacitor with a chip capacitor, and I think I connected everything back up, but now I've got almost too much voltage here. I've got 5 point something. I don't know, man. I'm already 5 hours into this thing. I knew this was going to be a tough one. And FM is dead again now. Back to this.
A New York travel agency says if someone told him 10 years ago that a rise in honeymooners' interest in cruising would help Royal Caribbean with its stock price soaring almost 600% since October.
Why is there nothing here? What happened here? Okay, this is the first IF.
and save a life and get compensated. Sean Inouye, director of the Western LA chapter, he says supplies are at a...
This is the second IF, the one we took out. This is the base.
So O positive, O negative, especially for platelets. So as what we see is
Collector.
storm. So we see this
Emitter, why is that transistor not doing anything?
traveling. There tends to be a blood that's collected. We are starting our Amazon $20 gift card.
You are? Why did we lose? Why did we lose our second IF here? There's no gain across it. That should be loud and that should be super loud. I don't know, it's like the IF transistor we took out died, but yet I measure the voltages on it and they look good. Man, this thing is stubborn. Where'd the FM go too? It's still showing it a transistor. The beta's low, but with the transistor out from emitter to base, we got 0.52. That's almost enough to bias a silicon transistor. It's tempting. Try it without changing the resistors. And with that thing out, the current draws back down to nothing. Actually, the current draw issue was due to this wire coming off, which goes to one of the audio outputs. This thing is layered with problems. Well, I've tried several transistors in there and nothing. I'm stumped. Well, now it sort of seems like the first IF transistor went bad. This one here, this is the one that's removed, and this is the base. So base is input, collector's output.
Way to beat the heat, people need to remember, even while they're in the water. And he tells KCAL News that he and his fellow...
So if you listen to the base here...
Sense rule.
We have water bottles for the lifeguards, and then the man walk around and check during rotations just to make sure...
That should be much louder.
To realize heat can cause some medical problems, so keeping cool is not just a matter of comfort.
The voltage is all checked good though. Let me take that one out. Actually, I think I see what happened here. The stupid bodge job solder joint down there broke on the collector. See that? Crap. Okay, I fixed it. I was able to get down in there and put a nice big blob on it. Okay, I'm going to connect this to the base now of the transistor that's out. Listen to the difference.
You see this in the street and around the world.
People are concerned about heart.
No opt-in. One of my Christian men's group that asked me to listen to a podcast that's called... I forget what it's called.
See how there's gain across that transistor now? That's base.
Doesn't have any backup, but he says, hey, you know what?
That's
Biden
the base.
supports Israel, and Kamala Harris supports Israel.
Okay, now I'm going to go to the collector.
Israel, so... Talk about all these little things that they say.
So that was the problem. I guess that transistor broke off. Well, check this out. So it's working.
In just 14 days.
But hear that noise? So I'm fighting that noise, right? And I'm thinking, I'm taking this capacitor and I'm bridging all the AVC capacitors and it's not going away. And then I come over here and I unplug this. I turn this off. Watch. I wonder if that meets FCC.
Weddings and family vacations are fading away as we speak.
Oh no.
Digitizing your old media with Legacy Box stops this fading process.
Oh, yes, it does.
And by preserving your recordings, they're safe forever. Legacy Box is actually the best way to preserve your past, which is why they've been trusted by over 1 million families. Your memories are meant to be shared, not
Yes.
by the VCR or worn away with time. For a limited time, you can...
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is
Really?
5% cheaper? And
Guess what you're doing, or they will...
It's part of the culture. There is a cost we need to pay.
5 to 54. She lives in Laurel Park, North Carolina. She writes this, quote, I've been using AfterFX for a month.
For president in 3 months. And in addition to that, he's also... Well, he previously won the French, but on that same court today, it was Djokovic winning to capture his first gold medal. What was some of these updates, Johnston? Let's go one step.
Wellness means something different to each of us. And at Westin Hotels and Resorts, we believe every step is an opportunity to enhance your well-being. Whether it's guided group runs and workouts,
You women going, oh yeah.
food options.
It's a pretty good performer. I mean, it sounds like what it looks like, but... Alright, let me clean this up, and I'm going to check the electrolytics with the ESR tester. I've still got that capacitor out. I took that chip capacitor out because I thought that might be causing the problem when the lead broke off. I'm going to touch it in there. I want you to hear what it does. It just filters off some of the high end.
RIS@SalemLA.com. And remember, when you advertise on AM 870 The Answer, our loyal listeners know that you care about our programming as much as they do. Our loyal audience loves to do business with the advertisers who make our programming possible. Email Chris@SalemLA.com. That's Chris, CHRIS@SalemLA.com.
Kind of takes the tinniness out of it.
HiPic, another photo editing app, a chat app by the name of Lark, a social media app by the name of Lemon8. Why? Again, it all comes down to TikTok's ties to communist China. So if you are using any of these, you shouldn't be, because again, it's tracking everything that you're doing and reporting it right back to communist China. Moving on, ChatGPT 4.0 was just announced.
It's all in this variant.
Turn the Olympics on.
Donald Trump in 16, Barack Obama in 08 writes about that within a year.
Sam Altman.
It's a high-fly diversity that's changing how much foul territory. You're making out, strike out.
I did replace 2 electrolytics. Okay, this was our first for the channel, a shorted disc capacitor in a low voltage application. That is definitely a first. We have our mystery Nichicon audio capacitor that maybe they just put it in there because it said audio and they thought it would make it sound better. Then these 2 were open. So all the caps are good now. A lot of them were replaced already. And the whole problem was this shorted disc capacitor. And I should have paid attention to this right from the very beginning. I think I mentioned, wow, that's kind of high. This behavior right here is what you should see.
Kick in the pitch. Biggio hits a fly ball, shallow left center. Schumann, the shortstop, out. Still out there now.
Let me extend the antenna.
Shop cars.
Firm semi.
Everybody's talking deals. Hey, was talking
The place where one feels.
And I'm still on the light bulb here, which kind of causes issues when you crank it up.
I'm driving. I own it.
Rock your hips. I'm having cash, I can take your.
Yeah, rock your hips. I got cash. The IF is so jacked up on this. Okay, we got Billy Idol there. We got something totally different here. There it is. Stereo. Then we should be able to tune here. Okay, I'm going to tune the radio. That IF is so far off. Someone went screwdriver happy in that thing. Because the IF is aligned to 11.485. Want to see how far that'll go? Let's see. See, it'll pick up the IF out of that thing for a long way. I did put a clip lead on the collector of that transistor, the IF transistor. So it's like a transmitter right now. But it'll pick it up without that. Wow, the IF is way off. And I really don't know how to align it without the instructions. I could do the AM, but I don't know how to do the FM. I don't want to screw with it. I mean, I could peak it, but then to zero the discriminator, I'd have to use a sweep alignment. Same thing with the AM. It's way off, too. So, as it goes for the FNIRSI, I think that's how you say that, DWS-200. It works well. I think it has a lot of capability. I like all the tips. The noise when it's turned off, the RF power supply noise, that's a little bit of something to have on your bench. You know, you're working on a radio and you turn the soldering iron off and it's still emitting a bunch of RF noise and driving the radio crazy. That's something my old resistive element soldering iron did not do, but my resistive iron soldering iron did not warm up in 3 seconds either. So I like this for transistor work. I do. I like this for transistor work. Let's try and align this radio. I don't have the schematic and I don't have the instructions. What we have is, this is pretty standard. We have 455, 455, 455. And then for the 10.7, this is going to be 10.7 peak, 10.7 peak. One of these will be 10.7 peak, and then the other one will be the ratio detector 0. And we don't know where to connect to do the 0. So we might have to do it with sweep. It looks like this right here. See that way they left that loop in that resistor? That is probably the test point to hook up to align the 10.7 for peak. And then we will use, we will connect to here to do the sweep 0 with a scope. Now the only question I have with the 10.7 is this right here supposed to be peaked at 10.7? I know these three, but I don't know about this one. So we'll just have to get into it. You want to do the 455 first, and that's easy. Just do that by listening to it and peaking for maximum tone. Okay, always take pictures of your cores before you do this. This would be so much easier out in the desert where there's not all this background noise. Let's go up a little bit. Boy, those two are picky.
It is and why people are doing it. Well, penile implants have been around for quite some time, but they have some new and improved. 여러분들의 재산을 잘 지키시고 또 혜택도 많이 받기를 바라는.
같이 한번 찾아있습니다. 다윗이 So understand that there is this undercurrent. People want to catch you.
Vice President Kamala Harris campaigns for president. She'll be announcing her pick for vice president in a matter of days. Natalie Brand tells us how the public feels about Harris's possible running mate.
Voters shared what they'd like to see in the choice. Somebody that she can work with. Somebody who's going to be compatible with her.
Writing,
oh, yeah.
Death threats. Don't send death threats to people on social media.
But that doesn't bother their supporter.
No consent or our business transfers.
We still have to keep money in a checking account. We still got to pay our bills every month, of course. But the money we decide to put into CDs or savings accounts or high yield accounts, you got this money.
Seems a little bit wide, but you know what? It's pretty good.
This is probably the biggest mistake of his life when Robin Ventura went on.
When you say look in the build it budget, lay out your expenses, get the
Bicycle to the end of the class. I couldn't allow this lady who looked to be about.
And Tommy Edmond and the White Sox got what? Miguel Vargas, who is a graduated prospect.
Okay, I think we got it close. Let's try and do the FM. No, I can't. So it looks like that goes more positive as we get a stronger signal. So we'll go up to 10.7 here. Frequency. 10.7. 7 Megazieblers. Let's crank up the power here. Nothing. This thing is so out of whack that... Okay, so here we go. I'll put a little FM modulation on it just so we can hear it. This is where an analog meter helps, but you can get it a lot closer than it was. Man, this is hard. Damn. Guess we got an analog meter at the top there. Okay, that's about where we're going to stop with that one. That could be the discriminator. I don't know. No, this one looks like the discriminator. I bet you that's pretty close. I bet you that's pretty close. Now I wonder if this one... No. Doesn't seem to, so I'm not going to screw with it. Let's see. So if this is the detector that you have to zero, I bet I got that pretty close. All of a sudden the thing sounds loud and clear. So there it is. Look at that. I got it just about perfect. Yeah, I'm going to turn it here. Right about where I had it was just about perfect. Now, in order to align the other one, you need to remove the stabilizing capacitor, but I don't see a stabilizing capacitor. Maybe that's what that audio capacitor was, except it was tacked on here, but there should be a 5 to 10 microfarad stabilizing capacitor. We can take a look at the what we did with by looking at this. Scope's gotten a little bit crusty, though. That's a little bit off, isn't it? I went back to the signal generator and just double checked it because I think I got it pretty good. The main thing is that it sounds clean and undistorted. So I think I got it. Let's take it back outside and really listen to it.
Without your love, never imagined I'd be sitting here beside myself.
Most interesting stories you've ever heard.
Wow, interesting.
And when you do get your own RV, save money by bundling it with your home, auto, or other vehicle.
Queso fresco.
Uy, yo ya me quiero enterar de todo,
Crónica de un asesinato.
No te lo pierdas hoy.
A las 9 por Univisión.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve.
/JOY.
Downtown LA Law Group Injury Help Studios.
This is KNX News, 97.1 FM.
SoCal's
immediate impacts that you see, but you could also see flooding that happens days afterwards.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Vice President Kamala Harris getting ready to pick a running mate for November.
Per the Washington Post, Harris is speaking face-to-face with Minnesota Governor.
Vehicle shot at him, then drove off. The man died. And just a few minutes later in Compton, a short distance away,
when deputies arrived on scene, they located a white vehicle in the middle of the intersection, which appeared to have been involved in a major traffic collision.
Vamos a tener el programa, Quiñones, Ahí no fallamos en la euforia, totalmente en vivo.
That could just be because I got the light bulb still in series.
Te van a criticar, Noel.
¿Por qué no le interesa a la gente?
El orden, Seiya Suzuki.
Fourth deadly shooting in LA County. A woman was shot to death this morning. Or alleged shooter later.
Hearing aids of 2024 by you.
We can believe.
neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or
help desk.
That's Kenny, coming up Monday.
Paul Whalen. Right now, taking a look at...
That is something to me that of the 100.
Okay, well, I think we can put a wrap on this. You can tell by how clean it is that the alignment's pretty damn close. Shorted disc capacitor. I think that's a first for me. I've seen them go open in televisions, in the high voltage section of solid state televisions. I can't say I've ever seen a disc capacitor short in a low voltage battery operated situation like this. And that thing is shorted. It's like 3 ohms. I think that was kind of the core of the problem, and then the alignment being off, the crappy solder on the transistors, and these 2 capacitors here. But this thing's ready to go, whatever that means. Aiwa vintage radio. And I was working on this thing pretty much all day. I started yesterday. And look at how much bigger this thing has gotten just in that time.